Hey everyone, thanks for trying to learn to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to look at a brand new game coming to Kickstarter called the Four Horsemen. This is a brand new one by Win-Win Board Games. It is a 1 to 4 player game that takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to play. It is a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together to defeat whichever scenario they've chosen to go on. In the game itself, the end is nigh, the apocalypse is upon us, and the heroes need to set off to try to save this, and they can't do it alone. They need the divine powers of their gods to aid them in this task, and they're also going to have to try to stem the tides of the demons that are pouring out of the different portals around the world, as well as finding relics that are going to help give them the power they need to hopefully delay the horsemen long enough and stop them from reaching their final destination. So in this video, I'm going to take you through and show you the main features of the game and also show you a sample turn to give you a good idea of whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. As always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow, be able to produce this content. Also, if you want to stay up to date on all my videos, also give that notification bell a ring and that'll let you know whenever I drop new videos. So, other than that, I do want to point out that all the materials you see here are prototype materials and are subject to change. It'll look a lot better in the final production copy of the game. So let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see what this one's all about. The first thing I want to take a look at are the heroes that you can play as. So each one of the heroes is going to have its own dashboard that's going to list the name of that hero on the top. We'll have their health and their corruption tracks, as well as their 6 divine powers. Each one of these divine powers can be used at any time, and when you use it, you must meet the minimum requirement for the corruption that is listed. So each hero will have 2 abilities that they can use right away, and then as the hero's corruption goes up and they have that corruption minimum, they are able to use these later abilities as well. So for example, with Hercules, he actually starts with 4 corruption, so he'll have access to the first 4 of his divine powers right at the beginning of the game. And then as he moves up, once he has 9 or more, he'll be able to use this one. And then if he reaches 11 or higher corruption, he'll have access to the Hydro Poison. Each one of these abilities will have different requirements that you must meet in order to use it. For example, with Smash, it's going to allow you to eliminate 2 demons, but it's also going to cost you 1 zeal and 1 virtue. With the Strengthen, for example, it'll let you eliminate 1 demon, but it's going to cost you a will, 2 zeal, and then you'll get 3 of the virtue back. Now, some abilities are also going to have effect on another player, so you can choose another player and they will gain whatever benefits are in this section or penalties. For example, with Provoke, this one's going to increase one player's corruption by 1, but it'll also give them 1 zeal. From there, then you have the different resources that each one of the heroes has access to. Each hero is going to have an innate resource, which will be virtue for the Greeks or faith for the Judeo-Christian heroes. Then there's going to be 3 different generic types of resources, which are wisdom, zeal, and prestige. And again, there's great quick reference guides at the bottom, so you always know what the different types are. Around the board edge are going to be your different areas for your draw deck, your discard, and your extra draw if you have any. Finally, at the bottom of the hero board is going to be the 3 different areas players are going to be placing cards during the heroics action section. And these are going to be the boon, where you're going to be placing 2 cards there, 1 card in the use, and 1 card that'll be sacrificed and returned to the game box, depleting your deck of cards. Now, as in the next section, I'm going to show you what kind of cards players have access to, the different relics, and how they're going to affect the players. And there's going to be 8 different heroes included in the game. You'll have 4 Greek heroes. One of them is Hercules, Achilles, Persephone, and Perseus. And on the Judeo-Christian side, you'll have Raphael, Michael, Uriel, and Gabriel. On the back of each of the heroes' dashboards is going to be a quick reference for that hero and their setup for that hero. So each hero is going to have the name on the back, their backstory, and the type of hero that it is, what class they belong to. For example, with Greek heroes, they're going to tell you what they excel at and why you would want to include them. Then you'll have their starting attributes, so their health, their corruption, wisdom, zeal, prestige, and their virtue. And then finally, a quick reference for the different relics that the hero will start the game with. Each hero is also going to start the game with 10 relic cards, as you just saw on the back of each of the heroes' dashboards. These relic cards are going to list the name of the relic on the top, the cost of the relic, and the type of relic it is, or heroes that will get the most benefits out of that relic, And then finally at the bottom are going to be the 3 sections again for when heroes place them in their different sections. For example, with the hero, if he places Smite in the Boom section, he's going to receive 2 Zeal resources. If he places it in the Use, he gets to eliminate 3 demons in his area and is also going to have to spend 1 Zeal. Or if he sacrifices it, this again is going to remove it from the game, but it'll allow him to eliminate 3 demons, and it's also going to allow another player to eliminate a demon in their area. Each one of these is going to provide different things. Some of them will provide both the player that's using it and other players with benefits, where others will just provide the player that is using it with benefits. And there's going to be a whole collection of relics that the players will have access to later on, also depending upon the heroes you're using, as there will be relics for the different classes as well. For example, with the Greeks, they have access to all kinds of relics, such as Hercules' club or the armor of Achilles, the lotus tree. On the Judeo-Christian side, we have the Grail sword or Gabriel's trumpet, the Great Church, and many, many other relic cards. From there, things are going to get dark. As I've covered the heroes, now we're going to find out what they're up against. So at the beginning of the game, the players are going to select a apocalypse scenario that they want to play against. And there's going to be a whole different collection of these, including a tutorial one that is going to introduce you to the game. This one is going to be Malaise. Each one of these is going to list the number of hours that is going to be played, any special events that you need to include in your event deck when you create it, and then any special rules that are going to be followed, along with the victory conditions on the back. And then on the back of each of the cards is going to give you a little backstory about that particular apocalyptic scenario you're going to be going against. And there's going to be a whole collection of these included in the game, such as Despair. And then on each of the different factions that's included will have their own special ones as well, such as Hades, or for the Faith side, Abaddon, and many others. Next are the event cards. During setup, you're going to create the event deck. And again, you're going to be referencing that apocalyptic scenario that might add specific cards to the deck. Otherwise, the rest of them are going to be randomized. Each one of the cards is going to list the name of the card on the top, along with the stage it's going to be part of, with some games having 2 stages, where the second stage obviously is going to ramp things up even more. Now, if your game's too easy, this middle section is also going to provide you with optional rules that are going to make the game a lot more difficult for all the players. And then finally, at the bottom of the card is going to be the grid. Based on where the card is on the event board, you're going to be resolving this during the event step. And each one of these sections is going to be broken down into stage 1, 2, and 3 on the event board. Then, based on the number of players, as you can see here, you're going to be resolving all of the different columns. So if you're playing with just 2 players, you're going to be resolving this first section. If you're playing with 3 players, you'll resolve the first and second section. And with 4 players, you're going to resolve all 3 sections. Finally, at the bottom of the card in the corner here is going to be a way to eliminate that card. When it is revealed, you can choose to pay these resources, and all the players can contribute towards that, or some of them will require all players to pay certain costs as well. If you're able to do that, then you can eliminate this card from the event deck. Otherwise, each card that is out on the event deck will be out for 3 hours, and then it will be discarded, where you'll handle each one of the effects during the different hours. And there's going to be a whole collection of these cards, such as the Throne, or the Plague Riders, zombies, and even an AI revolution. Then there's also going to be cards that are going to be specific to each one of the different factions, such as with the Judeo-Christian, we have Breaking a Seal or Overwhelming Darkness. On the Greek side, we have the Bubonic Plague or the Invasion of Mount Olympus, just to name a few. Another issue that's going to be facing the players are the Four Horsemen and their board. Throughout the game, there's going to be different effects that are going to cause one or more of the horsemen to move forward on this board. And then each one of these spaces is going to have different effects that the players are going to have to resolve once that horseman moves onto it. If a horseman ever reaches the middle of the board, the game is over and the players have lost. There will be certain effects or things the players can do to move the horseman back as well. And again, there's going to be 4 of them. So you're going to have death, disease, war, and famine. And the final board players are going to have to manage is the world map. There are going to be 6 different locations on the world map: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. And each one of these locations is going to have a wheel on it that, as the game goes on, demons are going to be added to it. And there's going to be numbers on each one of these wheels that the demons will be added to. As the demons build up in these different areas, the players are going to be moving around and adding their figures to those areas to try to defeat the demons in those areas. If there's any demons at the end of the hero activation, then they're going to take damage for the demons on there. And as these areas build up, there's going to be effects that are going to hit the players when demons cover up those areas. And if at the end of each round, if there are 10 or more demons in an area and the players have not dealt with them, the players are going to lose. So you're going to have to manage these different areas as well as they build up. The final board you're going to be working with throughout the game is the reliquary. And during the hunt for relics phase, the players are going to be able to buy relics from the different sections on this board. Once the players have made all of their purchases that they want to, any cards remaining on the top row are going to be removed from the game. The bottom cards will slide up and new cards will be placed out. During the beginning half of the game, the relics from stage 1 will be replenishing this area. Once the escalation card is revealed, then relics from stage 2 will start coming out, and those are obviously going to be more powerful relics for the players. The final thing I'll do is take you through a sample turn to give you a better idea how this one plays. So the game itself is going to be played over a number of rounds, which are considered hours. And each round is going to consist of 4 phases the players are going to handle in order. These phases are the event phase, the heroic actions phase, the hunt for relics phase, and the advanced time phase. And then once the players complete a hour or round, then they are going to evaluate whether or not they have met the win or loss conditions for the scenario, and then they'll proceed on to the next hour if there is one. So from here, let's go ahead and dive into the game. I have selected 2 heroes to play for this one. I have Michael the warrior and Persephone the cycler. So we'll see how they do as a team. And from there, let's go ahead and dive into the game itself. So again, the very first phase in the round is the event phase. And during this phase, you are going to reveal a new event from the event deck and also move all the other events over if there are any out there. Right now there aren't, but let's say there was one in the number 1 slot. First, I would slide that over to number 2, and then I'm going to reveal the next event in the event deck. So with this one, we have Death of a Prophet. And as I already outlined how this works, we're going to handle the very first thing, as that's going to be in the very first section. So this one is going to have all heroes lose 1 wisdom and 1 innate ability or action. So they're both going to lose 1 of those, and both are going to lose 1 of those. Now again, as I stated before, I could have tried to pay for all the different requirements of that to get rid of that event completely and not have to deal with it, but this one has some really steep requirements for it, and I don't want to spend all of my resources just trying to get rid of that at this point. From there, then we're going to move into the next phase of the round, which is the heroic actions phase. During this phase, our heroes are going to each take the cards that they have in their hand and choose where to place them on their board. There are 3 different zones, as you already saw: the boons, use, and sacrifice zones. And again, each one of these cards will have matching areas that are going to give the players different resources or different abilities that they can perform during their turn. So let's go ahead and start off with Michael. And at this point, there are no demons out to handle, so getting resources is going to be key for this. So with judgment, that one would be, gives me zeal and faith. We have 4 boon. The other ones aren't going to do too much for me, so let's see here. I don't have a lot of that. So let's go ahead and start off with Inspire. As a boon, this one is going to give me 1 resource of my choice, and it'll also give the other player 1 resource of her choice. So that might be a good one to start off with. And then let's go ahead and do Prayer as a boon as well. It's going to give me 1 wisdom and 1 prestige. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and I'll do Illuminate as the sacrifice. That'll give me a little bit more there. And as my use, unfortunately, neither one of these is very good. Actually, let's go ahead and switch prayer over to use. And that way then we're not losing resources. Each one of these use abilities would have us lose a resource instead. I'll put smite here, and then judgment is going to simply be discarded into my discard. Moving over to Persephone, let's go and see what she has. So she has the pomegranate seeds, and that one's actually pretty good as a sacrifice, but I don't know if I want to pop that just yet. Ambrosia, give us 2 innates, so I'll go ahead and do that one as a boon. I am going to, let's do prayer as a boon as well. I'm going to go ahead and do illuminate as a sacrifice, and I'm going to, I'll just do inspire as a use. All right, so once both players have all of their cards down, before they proceed to start handling them, they can move their characters anywhere on the world map. So let's go ahead and place our characters out. I'm going to go ahead and have Michael in North America, and we'll go ahead and put Persephone in Asia. From there, it's going to start with the player that has the first player token and proceed clockwise with each player taking a turn. During a player's turn, they're going to choose one of their different areas, either the boon, use, or sacrifice, to handle the card or cards that are in that area. So again, we're going to start with Persephone. Let's go ahead and do the boon on her. So each one of these is going to give her stuff. So she's going to get 2 innates with that. And then this one's going to give her a wisdom and a prestige. These will go into the discard. Her turn is over, and it'll move over to Michael to take his turn. And each player gets to choose. They don't have to do everything in order. So Michael could go ahead and do his use first, and that'll give him 2 wisdom. And then he'll discard that. Back over to Persephone. She's going to go ahead and do the boon. She's going to take, well, one more prestige isn't necessarily going to, oh, she's doing a use, so it's 2. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 prestige for that one and discard that. Back over to Michael. I am going to go ahead and do, I'm going to do the sacrifice. So with the sacrifice, it's going to, based on the number of prestige I currently have, it's going to give me additional prestige. So I do have 4 to 7. So it's going to give me +5 on that. 4 and 5. And then this one is going to be discarded and returned to the box, as that is a sacrifice, so I won't be able to use that anymore this game. And then back over to Persephone. She's going to do exactly the same thing, but she has 8, so she's going to get +7 of it. So that is going to give her a ton of resources for that. And 6 and 7. Okay, that'll also be discarded. Back over to Michael to finish off his thing. So he has his boon left. He's going to receive 2 zeal, and he'll receive 1 resource of his choice. And when anytime you receive a resource of your choice, it's only going to be the general resources, which are wisdom, zeal, or prestige. So I'm going to go ahead and take a zeal with him. And that also gives the other player a choice as well. So she can choose 1 for herself, and I think I'm going to take some wisdom for her. And then these will be discarded to his discard area. So from there, once you've resolved that, and again with this, at any time during a player's turn, or anytime during any of the rounds, the players can use any of their divine powers by spending and handling those. So they can do those at any time. So if you are trying to do something and you need some resources and there's a divine power that gives you those, you can go ahead and pop that right away and take care of it to gain those resources if you need to, or spending different resources to defeat different demons and all that kind of stuff. So once you've done with your turns, then if there are any demons left on the area that your player currently is in, you're going to lose a health for each demon that's there. Right now, we don't have any demons out on the board, so we don't have to worry about that. And so we're going to move on to the third phase, which is hunt for relics. So that's going to, again, bring the reliquary over, and each one of our players can choose to purchase 1 or more of the relics. So with Michael, he has the Bleeding Lance out that might be good. And that one, I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to buy the Bleeding Lance. So this one's going to cost 2 Zeal, 2 Prestige, and 1 Faith. All right, and then he gets to add that to his discard. Going over to Persephone, she is also going to be able to purchase. And that Golden Axe would be really nice. So I think we're going to go ahead and pick that one up. So that one's going to require her to add 2 demons to her area. So we'll add 2 demons in there. Then it's going to have her spend a Zeal, a Prestige, and 2 of her Virtue. So again, that'll go to her area. And again, you can purchase additional ones if you want to. With this particular scenario, we really need our resources to be able to handle different things, as our overall goal is to have each one of our heroes use 5 of their divine powers by the 6th hour, or at the end of the 6th hour. So we're definitely going to need them for that, and potentially being able to eliminate events. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there. At that point, then any cards that are on the top row are going to be discarded and removed from the game. The bottom row will slide up, and 3 new cards will be revealed in that bottom row. At that point, then that phase is done. We'll move on to the advanced time phase. During this phase, each one of our heroes will draw a new hand of 5 cards. You're going to check to see if you've met the win conditions, which we have not. And then you're going to advance the hour marker to the next space. And you're going to pass the first player token to the next player. Then you also want to consult your enemy or scenario that you're playing, as that might have different effects as well during some of these different phases. So with this one, it does have at the end of an hour, all heroes are going to gain 1 corruption. So each one of our heroes will move up their corruption by 1, and then we're ready to move into the next round. So I hope this gives you a good idea how the game plays. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's main page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creator would love to hear from you. Is more than happy to answer any questions. Until next time, I'll see you later.